Welcome to Living with Intuition Coffee Chats, your source of real perspectives, insight, and humor from down-to-earth, kick-ass intuitives. Join Lindsay from Super Secret Powers and Andrea from A Soul's Journey with Andrea as we delve into today's coffee chat. Today we're starting off on this very funny note of doing Living with Your Intuition Coffee Chat by Andrea and Lindsay. And let me get my headphones on here. There. That way I can hear what everybody's saying. All right. So, hi, I'm Lindsay.
Hi, Andrea.
And we have been friends for a very long time now. And it's taken us a long time to really figure out that we should be like really doing things together. Because
Right.
one's up and the other's down, and it's just all that kind of stuff. But here we are. And we are introducing a membership and a masterclass later on next month. So we're going to talk a little bit about that when we are toward the end of this live. But we're just, we're here for a coffee chat. So, grab your coffee and just, kind of relax with us. So Andrea, I know you have a story this week, certainly about an intuitive hit you got. So why don't you start that off today?
Okay. Well, I am a house sitter. I've been a house sitter for a long time now, and I was in Philadelphia at a friend's house, and it was our last day. My mom came with me because we knew the owner, so it was a little different this time. And we were packing up and trying to bring stuff down. I came downstairs about 8:30, and I was going to let the dog out the backyard, and I just stopped in front of the door and couldn't move. And I couldn't do anything else until I opened the door. So I ended up opening the front door to find that my car parked right outside. Now, this is Philly. I mean, you have to expect this stuff, but my window was smashed and my car was robbed. But the thing is that I probably wouldn't have known about it for another 2 hours or so, because eventually I would have taken the dog for a walk to the dog park. That was my plan. And we would have gotten our day started that way after breakfast and all. But because I found out about the car break-in at 8:30 in the morning, I was then able to get the police on board, my insurance company, things filed, and then still get back to breakfast, cleaning up the house, packing, and making sure things are the way they usually go when I check out, because I have a routine. So it really was a blessing that I was stopped. That's what intuition does for me. Sometimes it's a voice in my head. Sometimes it's just this clear stop. Like, yes. and think, what do you need to do in this moment, kind of thing. And it literally paralyzed me I could not move towards that back door to let her out. I had to go to the front door first before anything else got done. And thank God I did. Because even though it's a horrible thing to get robbed and have to replace your window and everything, I got the ball rolling. The cops were there within like 15 minutes. I mean, they were fast. And I got all my reports done. I talked to the neighbors. The neighbors helped me put tape and a bag on the window, and and I maybe just maybe was because of me and all this happening, and 2 different cameras catching it and everything. And the guy left a key thing. I don't know what you call those things. They don't have keys on them anymore. They just have buttons. And when you get close to the car will start. What do you call those things? I don't even know.
Key fobs.
Yeah. And so I found this in the back seat of my car when I was cleaning up the glass. And it was a brand new car label on it from like a dealership or something. Maybe they can trace this guy who robbed me and a whole bunch of other people in the neighborhood. And maybe something will come good out of me getting robbed. And that's the way I have to think about it, you know? And then I set my intentions because a lot of my personal valuables I thought were taken. I had a whole book bag full of tarot cards and my favorite crystals and stuff, but I didn't realize that at the house before this, I had changed the way that bag was packed, and all my crystals actually weren't in there, but I didn't know it. I was just like in a tizzy over everything happening at once. And I thought, oh my God, I lost my best crystals. I feel like some part of me is missing. But then I says, now maybe somebody else needs them. Release them, set them free. And even if they don't know it's stolen or whatever, if they need it more than me, somebody else can benefit from them. Maybe it's just time for them to move on. And because I believe in that kind of energy with it, you know? And so I let it go. I had to. I couldn't dwell on it. You can't change it. And that's what I've been working on with myself, is not staying in that control thing where everything has to be the way I need it to be. But sometimes it just has to be this way. And you can't do anything about it. So don't waste your time trying to change it. So I tried to move forward and get the logistics done with, insurance and police reports and all, and just be at peace with that. Next day, after I checked into I was in an Airbnb the next day, and I looked through my trunk trying to make sense of it all, what's really missing, and they made a big mess. Looked like a hurricane went through my car. So I had to clean it all up and put it back in its place too. And I'm like, oh my God, I switched out how my crystals were packed, and they were in this big cookie tin in the bottom of one of the totes that were there. And I'm like, they didn't steal them. They're still here. So they wanted to be with me yet. They picked me again. And I'm like, oh, how I feel so honored that they picked me again. Like, I just gave you this charge up that, oh my God, all my babies really wanted me.
Oh, good. It wasn't just me.
So it's like because I talk to them, I attune to them. They're like, they all have their own little purpose in my life, and I do ritual. I'm really particular about ritual. It's been a part of my life for so long that it really holds me together, and it's just part of my life. And not to have them for ritual and stuff, I was like, oh, but you know what? Maybe somebody needs them more than me. But no, they still want me. They chose me. Yay. So, you have to look at the silver lining in everything. What do bad situations teach you? How do you learn and grow? And how do you know how far you've come? Because obviously I handled this so much differently than even maybe a year ago I might have. I wasn't like this nervous wreck. I wasn't like, oh my God, the world's ending kind of thing. Like I could have been, because I have been in the past. But we got through it. We got home. I had to stop on the turnpike and retaped my window because nobody was available because it was the holiday. I couldn't get it fixed. So we had to stop and retape it. But hey, we made it back and we were fine. It was an adventure all of its own. But you have to laugh about it. I mean, what else can you do? I mean,
you do. I mean, all of life is an adventure if you can choose it to really see it that way. But the whole thing about, life not being exactly, how you want. I mean, that's certainly a common theme for my week, because I'm doing a lot of listening against fear and listening against anxiety. My husband is starting a cancer healing journey, and he's going to the oncologist for the first time tomorrow. But so what I'm really realizing this week is, when those bad things happen and when the shock hits your system and you're like, oh my God, now what? And your brain And I think your intuition's in there too, but your brain goes like 1,000,000 miles an hour. And if you let that 1,000,000 miles an hour take you out of the moment and take you out of center, that's when like the anxiety hits. That's when the nervous system gets completely deregulated and you're like, oh, because it feels like everything is happening at once.
Yeah.
And so my soul medicine this week, as it just comes to me, not from any cards or anything, has really just been like, he's not dying in this moment. He's not, we're safe in this moment. We're going to be safe in the next 5 moments, in the next 2 days, in the next week. Like nothing's happening right now but doctor's appointments.
Right. And the more you find out, the more I think you'll settle down, because it's the not knowing sometimes that makes it rush in your head, and then you just assume all these crazy thoughts. And when you know more, I think even if it's bad news, we're going to handle it differently because we know now. Now we have a course of action. Now we have a plan for the future, and take a deep breath and you trust that, it's going to work.
And I've been getting like these little blips of just like this is the beginning of a whole other life.
Right.
Like this is really a reset moment, no matter what, whether I like it or not, whether I, this is the beginning of something else. So
most of the time,
but that feels good.
There,
that feels good. That feels like, I want to say like everything I've ever wanted, but not in that vision boardy sort of way where, like, oh, I want the $1 million house and I'm going to put that on my vision board. Not those kind of wants, of course, the deeper ones, the ones where it's just like, I want to be able to come out of my shell. I want these lives to go on forever,
right.
With you and doing this kind of work. And I want to stop and smell the roses, and I still want to go on like 1,000,000 cruises, especially now. Like, like that kind of stuff.
Right.
And the cruises here, like I don't ever put that on my vision board. This is for reference. It kind of like, it's a situation that fell in my lap. But every couple months I've been going on a cruise for the last, since cruising started back up in 2021. Because my dad books them, and I'm lucky if he asks me boundary wise, what days are good for it? What days can you go? What days can't you go? So it's like been stepping into this thing that I didn't expect, after my mom passed, and he didn't feel like he can go on these cruises by himself, that he can travel like he used to. So it's, it's like that, it feels like that, like that kind of that change. So it's been an interesting week, but I'm trying to keep everything, just low key and just back to that moment. Saying, yeah, you know what? It's okay. I can still afford time, Lindsay, energy wise. I can still afford to laugh. I can still afford to be happy. I can still afford to make some plans and have some dreams and whatnot. And my knowings already know that I'm going to fall safe no matter what. It's just getting on board with what's happening. But it's too early for that. Like what's happening in my life and, where I'll be 5 years from now, that kind of stuff. But it's too early for that. They're not going to tell me yet. Oh, but sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Isn't that true? Sometimes they're like chatty Cathy. And other times it's like, you have to wait and see.
And hard, like usually the hard lessons that you need to learn, like the when they're really kicking you in the butt and want you to get moving. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes like your whole world falls apart, and then you rebuild it and realize, oh, that's why. It's like after my divorce, all the things that I went through to get to where I am right now. It's been like 3 years. I'm like, oh, I get it. Thank you.
Mm.
You. That's so much better than I ever imagined it. I'm like, because we do that to ourselves. We make up these stories that are very limiting. And the universe has unlimited plans for us and wants us to go. See, I get emotional. Sorry. That's part of my empath things. I cry a lot when I'm passionate about what I'm saying. So once you get to know me, you know that happens a lot. But I just feel like you have to trust that unknown isn't as scary as you think it is. And I'm trying to, like, with cancer stuff, with a whole bunch of stuff in my life and your life and everything. It's like I'm trying to keep that in perspective, because it really is the perspective you choose. You're choosing every moment of your life. And it's like I could be bitter and be mad that my laptop was stolen and I got to replace my window and it's a big pain in the ass and everything. Or I could say, oh, well, it happened. We're going to move on. You know what I mean? It's all about your perspective in life and how you choose every moment. And then
and you already got an upgrade to your computer.
I know. My friend, she just bought a new computer, and this one's in good shape, and she's mailing it to me. So sweet of her. I have good friends, we take care of each other, and that's great, And it took a long time to get there too. Everybody fell away that wasn't supposed to be in my life, And if you let things flow the way they should and not over try and try to force things smoothen out, and it's much better than you could ever imagine. You have to learn. It's a long process learning to trust that unknown stuff, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah. And learning to really put the ideas that mind has with that huge grain of salt that it thinks it knows.
Right.
It has the answers. It knows all the possibilities.
Yeah. It's hard to fight that urge to go down that wormhole, because once you go down there, you really can't come back. It's a very hard journey back. So I like to catch it before it goes that far. It's like, oh my God, why did I waste all that energy on that stupid thought? I'm like,
yeah.
You laugh later because you realize just how stupid it really was. Why?
2023, has been that year. Has been the year of me being able to say, like, well, it's after 5 o'clock. You know what? I can't do anything about it right now.
Right, exactly. It's like, it's like it's a holiday. I'm not going to get much done with this case until everybody comes back to the office. It's like, so, you just have to be patient with things like that, And once you learn to slow down and really think about things before you go down the rabbit hole, life becomes so much easier. We make it hard, and it's not supposed to be hard. And I still, it's a constant daily reminder. You have to stay on yourself, because ego slips in there so easily and gets you. But as long as you can sort it out, because ego's there for a reason too, and you need it, you just can't let it take you down the rabbit hole,
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, hear what it's saying. Hear what it's saying, definitely. Especially if it has to do with, shoring up any foundations you might have. Like if it's saying I don't know why my business, for you, and this isn't a real example, but this month feels so sketchy about my pet sitting bookings. Right. And it's just but then you hear that And then mind is like, oh, well, I'm not on top of the business and like I have to do more. And let's like post 1,000,000 times in one day because I'm now freaked out but then like it all works out anyway. And you're like, oh, I was supposed to have an easy month and my bills are still made.
Right.
Yeah.
I traveled more. I got to see more Airbnbs. I came and stayed with friends. I did things, and maybe I wasn't supposed to be in, house sitting houses all that time. It all happens for a reason, but sometimes you just panic because money is like that thing that always gets us, the fear factor of not having money, of losing your home and hearth and your
All
it's
those
like,
worst fears.
yeah. And when something happens that triggers that, it's hard not to go down the rabbit hole. But my business has taught me so much. The people, the clients and all, my worth. It's like when I first started, I wasn't charging enough. And they all told me I wasn't charging enough. Yo, we're from New Jersey and we paid this, so we're paying you that. Times as much as I was telling them, so, and it got that way. One after another, they were all doing that, it's like, you're great, we want you back, but we don't think we're paying you enough. Here's a bigger tip or whatever, it's like, and so then I finally got the nerve, like, because it's like that worthiness, like, should I raise rates? Will they all go away because I'm charging more? No, they were actually happy that I changed the rates, because then if they felt better about paying me, because they didn't think I was getting enough to begin with. So it's like, it teaches me that I am of service. This is a service. I've always been service orientated, and this is a service job, because people just love that they can go away and leave their pets with me and they're in good hands. And that's like that wonderful feeling. And the more you build on that, the better your self-esteem gets and your whole self-worth. And it's really loving yourself, the whole picture changes.
Yeah. And half the time that comes with taking a lot of pressure off yourself, because you're like, you see how, the simple
so
things
hard on ourselves. We're all hard on ourselves. I see it time and time again, especially with empaths. We just have that the extra sensitivity with things that we just put it all on ourselves when it's not even ours to take,
So on that note, we want to tell you about our Unleashed Masterclass. It's a 5-day masterclass, and it starts on June 12th. So we're a little less than 2 weeks away, and I think we're getting both very excited and nervous and, all that stuff. But if you are ready to step into your abilities and your deeper sense of soul to live life to its fullest, to feel unleashed, then this masterclass is for you. So join us for an unforgettable journey toward confidence, fulfillment, vitality, while you're living with your abilities and not, instead of, dragging yourself through life in spite of your sensitivities, in spite of your abilities, in spite of the doubt that you're feeling. So we're going to take a deep dive in this masterclass into who your inner intuitive queen really is, and finding the real you, and powering up to get beyond survival, and really listening to what fear and anxiety could be telling you, what the actual intuitive messages might be around that. And finally, stepping into your queendom. So don't miss this transformative experience. It's not just 5 lessons, dropped in the morning, because we have 5 days worth of lives scheduled that'll happen later in the afternoon, Eastern time, where we're going to go over any questions you have. We're going to go deeper into the lesson. We're going to chat and get to know you. And we're going to play around with some magic and some healing energies with you, for you, maybe show you some new stuff. And it's going to be fun. So please look for the link here. I'll post that in just a second for the sign up for the Unleashed Masterclass. And I hope to see you there. All right. Have a good one.